Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Suzanna and today I just wanted to come on here and just talk a little bit about my story and my business and kind of where it started and where it's at. So let's get started. So I was born in High Level, Alberta to my parents, Philip and Kathy Newdorf. Shortly after, we moved to a little town in southeast Alberta where I was raised with my 11 siblings. We were homeschooled, so that kind of gave us the freedom to kind of follow our dreams and follow our passions, which mine was lots of crafts, lots of painting, drawing, anything I could do with my hands, sewing, crocheting. I just loved doing anything that I could make and that I enjoyed doing. Growing up, I did a little bit of everything. I did 4-H for 4 years. I did sheep 4-H, rodeos, knife making, life skills. Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite activities that I did. Absolutely love animals and just being outdoors. So that was one of my favorite times. I also did cadets for almost a year. I did swimming lessons for as long as I can remember, and just being at the lake every single year. I did softball for a few years. I did dance for a year, but yeah, so I kind of played around in a lot of things, just kind of see what I like and try out with some friends and yeah. So in 2019, I got my first job as a waitress, which shortly after I lost due to everything being shut down. So in 2020, I started making blankets as I just wanted some money to get around. I was a teenager, had my own vehicle, and just needed something, some kind of income and also just something to do. So yeah, I started making denim blankets with all my mom's scrap jeans or just all of her bins of material that she had laying around. Yeah. Shortly after, I got a job in the town over and I started working there, and I kind of lost time to do blankets. If you don't know, a denim blanket that's like a queen size or even just like a lap blanket takes a few hours or a few days, even up to weeks, just to cut out all the squares and just to sew everything together. So I just didn't really have time balancing high school and work and also having a long drive since our little town didn't really have much and the closest big town was 45 to an hour away. But yeah, so in 2021, I believe it was, my mom had a great idea to make bath bombs for some Christmas gifts that year, and me and my mom, being us, were like, you know what, we got this. We're just gonna buy everything in bulk, and we're just gonna wing it. And we, it's just bath bombs. It's fine. So we got everything in like 50 kg bags and just kind of Googled like a basic, simple recipe. And then we're like, you know what, we're not gonna add any chemicals because we like everything natural. We're gonna get essential oils and we're just gonna wing it. And it did not go very well. I will just say that. I'll put some pictures of our first bath bombs, and they were cracking, they were falling apart, they were crumbling, they weren't staying together. The molds we got were like plastic ones, and like the rims were just weird, and you just couldn't really get it down as nicely as I would have liked to. But because of that, and because of all the joy of just making it and trying it and just experimenting with different things and trying to figure out what was going on, was like a spark of just inspiration, and was like, you know what, I actually want to pursue this and actually see if I can actually get this to a place that I could actually sell it and that it's not falling apart and it's proper. So because we had so much bulk items of everything, I started experimenting with different recipes, making my own formulas, and just kind of getting into like the science behind it and actually figuring out what I could do that the colorants aren't sticking to the tub, but there's no chemicals like Paracetamol 80 in it, and that it has essential oils, but it doesn't have too much so that it's irritating. And it was just like a balance of just kind of figuring out and playing with different formulas and different ingredients and trying different oils and trying just everything kind of just to figure out what worked, what didn't work, and just kind of have fun with it. So yeah, that's kind of where my business started. And yeah, so that's, I will definitely put some pictures of like my first few bath bombs. They definitely were like this hard ball of just, I don't even know, oils and powders, and they weren't really sticking together. And then I realized that all the salts and all the like ingredients that we got were too coarse, so we decided, like, I started grinding them with a coffee grinder just to get them more powdery so that they would stick together better and so that they weren't so chunky. But yeah, I had a lot of fun experimenting with that, and it just kind of opened the door to so many more things. I started making bath salts, sugar scrubs, candles, and the last year I added body butters, and shortly, really excited, I'm adding soap bars. Recently I just added shower steamers, and I'm hoping shortly that I will be adding different packaging for my shower steamers. So definitely stay tuned to that. And the soap, I have been playing with some scents and just experimenting with that, so I'm really excited about that. But back to it. But yeah, so a year later, I believe it was, I decided that I would add more stuff, and I would also open an Etsy account. Before, I was just selling at my Christmas market in our town and just to neighbors and friends and some of my mom's Facebook friends, but I didn't really have like a big platform or anything. It was kind of more like word of mouth and just to friends and just gifts, and I was still experimenting before. But in 2022, in January, I launched my Facebook, Instagram, and an Etsy account, and I named Nicolerose. Just a little backstory about the name. I named it after my dear friend that passed away in 2017 in a tragic accident with her family. They were heading home, and 15 minutes away from home, they were hit by a drunk driver, and they all lost their life that day. And so I decided that I would name my business after her given name, Nicole, and my middle name, Rose, so Nicolerose. Yeah, just a little bit behind the name. So in January 2023, I took the big plunge and launched my website, which I was really excited about. I really love editing things, and at one point when I was younger, I really loved taking pictures, and I would take pictures of everything and just edit them, and I really loved the creative freedom just to take pictures and edit it and see it in a different light. So having the freedom of editing a whole website and making it look the way I wanted, instead of having Etsy where you have very limited options, was definitely a big stepping stone, and I really enjoyed editing it and having fun with it and just playing around with settings, playing around with colors, and playing around with just how I could display my products. Yeah, so it was definitely a fun time, and I still sometimes just go on there and just play around with settings and see if I can change a little thing here or a little thing there. And yeah, I really love just playing around with that. Yeah, so I launched that. And then shortly after, in 2023, I met my husband and met my now husband. And shortly after, decided I would quit my job and help my mom as she was having some health issues, and just kind of help my siblings with homeschooling and just be kindergarten teacher for the year, and just kind of take my last year as we kind of knew that it would be my last year living at home. So I took off the year to help my mom and just kind of have a little breather before I moved out. Shortly after, in 2024, January, I got engaged and started planning my wedding, and just took a break from my business as I was still living at home, helping my mom with all my siblings, helping homeschool, and planning my wedding. Then in September of 2024, I got married and I moved to Wainwright, Alberta with my husband. And I kind of just jumped right back in to doing markets. Before, I was just doing a market or two every Christmas. And I was like, you know what, now I have a lot more time since I'm not taking my siblings to gymnastics and taekwondo and cadets and all these other things for my mom. I kind of have my own space and freedom. So I started doing all the Christmas markets. I think I did 5 last year, which really did so well. I was actually so surprised, and I don't know whether if it was just because of the postal strike. If you don't know, Canada Post had a whole strike from, I believe, November. It started in November or October of last year. So lots of people were buying local and going more to markets, which was definitely a big boost. I also kind of went out of my comfort zone and did a lot more markets than I usually did, and kind of broadened my markets from just the 2 little towns that I was close to. But yeah, it definitely gave me a lot of hope that my business could thrive by itself, and also that I could expand one day, and that it could be a full-time thing at one point. So because of that, I started looking into other markets around the area and just seeing how far I could expand, and also being more present on social media and just kind of putting my message out there and not being afraid to show it. And that's why I'm here. Yeah. In December, we decided that we would move to Stettler for my husband to pursue a different job. Yeah. So now my goal for the end of this year, since it is now June, is to do a full rebranding of all my labels, and just kind of change the look of my website and the look of my labels, and just kind of follow Alberta and Canada's guidelines for labels. Before, I just kind of had like the ingredients on the back and the product, what the product was on the front. I didn't really look into like the full standards, as it was just a hobby at first. But now I'm looking into expanding and just kind of be a little bit more conscious of what I'm putting on there, and just also making sure that everyone knows what's in it and making sure that it's all clear. And yeah, so that's kind of my goal. I'm really having fun with designing labels, and they're definitely going to be very pretty. I am really excited to have them done. And if you would like to know what I did for labeling before and what I'm doing now, what's different, the pros and cons, definitely leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to make a video about explaining that. Yeah, definitely leave a comment if you'd like to know. Even though I'm doing a full rebranding with my labels and my website look, I still stand for the same things: 100% natural, synthetic free, paraben free, toxic free, and made with essential oils. I don't want to sell anything that I don't feel comfortable putting on my skin or that I don't feel comfortable putting on my 2-year-old sister. Um, if it's not safe for a little kid or that I don't feel comfortable using, I'm not going to sell it. I want to be 100% transparent, and I will not leave anything out on the ingredient list so that you know what you're getting, I know what I'm selling, and that we feel, if that makes sense. I think about my little siblings and just even looking at like Walmart brands of all the ingredients and all the synthetics and just thinking about what we're putting on our bodies and what harmful effects that has on little kids and even adults, that I don't feel comfortable selling anything like that. So what is on the label is what you get. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely leave any questions, video suggestions down below in the comments. Subscribe, follow me on social media. I'll have that linked down below so you can see any product updates, behind the scene, new launches, and yeah, until next time, see you.